This straight up feels like cross-country skiing, guys. This is cross-country skiing. I just go the exact same thing. Probably not the best conditions. Everything's like partially frozen. And still pretty slippery, but again, if you don't slip slow, you should be fine. Ooh, beautiful day. Gotta soak up all that sun. Riding right next to. See? Look at that. Rode over some ice, but saved it. Ha. That creek frozen over completely. Beautiful day. Hey, everybody, welcome to my channel that I have called PyTech, where we talk all things wheels, all things AI, well, occasionally, we'll get into that, but all wheels right now. Today I got a topic that I've been thinking about for a little bit now. I call it, how to be a 4-season rider, winter edition. Well, I guess the polar vortex edition. Because that's where we are right now. We're in the middle of the polar vortex. So, if you are addicted to riding these wheels like I am, and you can't live without it, and you get withdrawal, this is what you gotta do to ride in all 4 seasons. Now, bear in mind, I am a lucky rider. This is my first winter riding a wheel. So everything I'm going to be passed down to you, if you're watching, and for the purpose of this video, is everything I learned from other riders and other YouTubers. But honestly, primarily, it's all been other riders because all the other YouTubers aren't in sub-zero degree temperatures like I am. So if you are somewhere out in the Midwest or somewhere where it frequently becomes very, very cold in the winter, here are some tips that I picked up on how to continue doing your riding journey. Number 1, most importantly, if you want to survive any kind of cold riding, layer up. Layer up, layer up, layer up. Let's back up for a second. Right now, when I left my house lunchtime, Chicago, early mid-January, middle of the polar vortex, it was about 16 degrees leaving my house. So, right now, I'm perfectly fine. I'm feeling great. No wind chill, nothing. And that's because I have a bunch of layers on. There's one rider here in Chicago. I asked for some tips on what to do, and he gave me the best kind of outline. Basically, what you're supposed to do, and this is probably going to sound like super obvious, but what you got to do is insulate yourself as best as possible. And once you insulate yourself, you cover up all that insulation as much as possible. So, what I mean by that is I insulated myself with a few thermal layers underneath. Hold on, let's do this little bonk here. I insulated myself with a bunch of thermal layers, covered up all open skin, tucked in my thermals into my like pants, right underneath, keeping it, making sure that everything's tucked in, and then I have some winter socks, a couple winter socks that I then tuck the thermals into. So everything is covered, properly covered, insulated. There's no open skin to feel the cold. And then I have one thermal, I have another shirt over that, and another shirt over that. So that's just 3 basic layers just to insulate myself. And then I have an armored core hoodie over that, which is already pretty well, is a pretty thick kind of hoodie to keep yourself warm. And then over that hoodie, I have this super thick winter jacket. That's my upper body, all right? On my neck and head, I have a balaclava. And shout out to another rider, Conejito, EUC. He gave me the trick to double up the balaclavas, which I, for some reason, just never thought of. My head was getting cold. I was like, whoa, what do I do under the helmet? Wear another balaclava. Problem solved. Cover up the neck so it's no problem. Tuck in the balaclava into your jacket. Zip it all up. Cover, cover, cover. You gotta insulate and then cover, right? On my lower body, same thing. I got three layers. I got these thermal like stockings underneath all the way under the pants. Then I have like these windbreaker kind of like sweatpants or something over that. And then I have like these motorcycle type of pants on top of that. And that makes my lower body feel great. In my hands, I have just these gloves from E-Wheels. I don't have anything underneath them, but they are actually fine. They're very warm gloves, and they've been keeping me, they've been keeping me pretty good in this cold weather. But in the beginning, when I wasn't used to the cold weather, I did look for a solution, and other riders here in Chicago suggested wearing like these just latex gloves underneath. Just latex gloves underneath. And I put these on because that kind of latex traps the heat very, very well. The heat can't go through it. And then you got your hands nice and warm, but at the expense of a little bit of sweatiness. It's going to be hard to get those gloves off after you're done riding. But would you rather have your fingers freezing or your hands be a little bit sweaty after you're done riding comfortably and having fun, right? And on my feet, last but not least, yeah, just 2 winter socks, and then these kinds of motorcycle shoes or boots that I got from Amazon that are pretty good and thick. I've been wearing them all year long. Yeah, I wear these same exact boots in the summer. I wear the same exact boots in the fall, winter. They're steel-toed. They're breathable, which is why I needed to double up on a couple socks to keep myself insulated. But other than that, those winter socks are doing the work for me. So that was just what you need to wear in order to continue riding in the winter. Ooh. Now, the second thing that you need to ride in the winter, from an EUC perspective, what do you need to do to make sure you can ride all year long? Well, that's kind of a tough one, to be honest, because here's the deal. I am riding an Extreme Bull Commander Mini. I don't know how fast I'm going, but I'm not probably going pretty slow because the conditions are, well, it's sub-0 degree temperatures, and I could slide out in this terrain at basically any point. But what I'm trying to say is, this Commander Mini is handling this terrain perfectly fine. I don't have any tire studs on it. I never properly opened up the wheel to waterproof it myself, meaning, I never opened up the top and to see where if all the holes are properly waterproofed with like good silicone or something. Didn't do that because when I did check it out, it seemed okay to me. Where I was thinking that if I try to add any, I might just end up making it worse. And well, so far so good. I have had no issues with waterproofing with this wheel. I've been riding it in the snow. I took it out to some really awesome trails after some fresh powder the other day. Maybe I'll have a little clip of that to kind of show you. Oh, they moved this log. No way. Or that's no, that's over there. Over there, that's this log. They moved this log. Yeah, see? Very nice. Cool. So some people do definitely come in here and then like maintain the trail. So that's really nice of them. Yeah, so back to the EUC. No tire studs. Didn't do any waterproofing. I'm riding on trail mode versus hard mode, but I've always ridden like that on the Command Mini. Don't have any field weakening. Hard pedal modes, obviously. In terms of like maintenance and any of that, see, that's where I'm afraid of potentially misleading some of you viewers, because I don't know enough about proper maintenance and winterifying your wheel in order to make sure that your wheel can get through the winter. This is a test. I'm experimenting as a brand new rider, trying to understand what kind of potential damage a wheel may take over time in these kinds of environments, and how to maintain your wheel for longevity. Yeah, I'm learning all that myself because I haven't really had a good and easy time of finding other winter riders or other riders with content in snowy conditions or winter conditions, because I know there's a few riders that ride in well, I wouldn't say cold weather, I would just say in areas that do get cold all year long. Obviously all the New York City riders, with Chooch, Adam, Wrong Way, Toland, all these guys probably have some sort of similar videos on how to ride in cold weather. But I guess the difference for me is that I'm a rookie. So if you want to hear a rookie's perspective on how to ride all year long, keep following, I guess. So again, the point I'm trying to make is if you're trying to ride into winter, don't worry about all the specific like technicalities around preparing your wheel to ride for the winter. Make sure your body is fine first, because that will be the thing that will be preventing you from actually going from rides in the cold weather. Once that is good to go, then start, like me, what I've been doing, I've been just taking out my wheel on various conditions, various kind of day, and just testing out to see how it feels, how it rides. So today, I wanted to see how I've been riding the same exact trail 6 months now. Today I wanted to see how the trails are going to be after a nice snowfall we had over the weekend, as well as a quick, flash freeze. So luckily this doesn't look like there's any kind of ice. It just looks like the snow, the dirt is mixed in with snow, and there's no hard ice on this terrain, luckily. So, I mean, I don't want to jinx myself, but so far so good. This is exactly the kind of terrain I really like riding in for this kind of weather. Alright, finally I can do a little bit of jumping, kind of accelerate a little bit, bonk it. So, like I said, I have not done anything to prepare this wheel for the winter. And I was afraid that I might have to like put tire studs in and all that kind of stuff. I thought I'd be slipping out literally all the time, but it's not that bad if you have a knobby tire. This is the stock knobby tire that came with this Commander Mini, this Extreme Wheel Commander Mini from E-Wheels. I've had it since I got this wheel in May of 2024. Haven't changed it once. Been fantastic. And honestly, the suspension feels even better in these conditions. I haven't done anything to suspension either. It's been pretty hard, but it feels really good here. All right, look at that. Let's head north. So, yeah, so again, the point I'm trying to make, because I tend to ramble in these videos, is you don't really need to do anything to your wheel to prepare yourself. What you do need to do is train yourself to know how it feels to ride on such coarse, uneven, sketchy terrain. How do you do that when it's not snowing or other times of the year? Well, the way I've been doing it is I've just been going to the same trails. They're not paved trails. They're coarse gravel or dirt trails. And, you know, after a few rainstorms or other times of the year, this trail can get pretty crappy. So that definitely helped out, knowing how to like feel out terrain so you don't freak out and just like dump your wheel all the time, because that's exactly what I was doing when I first started riding. I learned on, you know, nice smooth hard pavement, maybe a little bit of like grassy fields here and there, but nothing where it was like bumpy. Also, and I learned on non-suspension wheel where I purposely looked for very smooth terrain to learn on. Then I switched to suspension wheels, started going on these trails, and that was a big difference at first because I wasn't used to the you know, the bumpiness and like all the different kind of obstacles and objects that are just in the middle of your route that you have to watch out for. Oh, well, I mean, that's a very incorrect, because when you're learning in EUC and you're riding on non-suspension, you definitely have to look out where you're riding and make sure you don't ride over anything that will buck you off your wheel. So that was an incorrect statement. But what I meant is that this is very good training for unstable terrain. So that's my next point. If you want to do winter riding, train on uneven terrain. Train on uneven terrain. Find some trails, some dirt trails, so that you can get a sense for how your wheel reacts under constantly uneven road. Because you're going to be, at first, it's going to feel so weird and so awkward riding on that kind of terrain because you don't have all the necessary stabilizer muscles built up yet, and you're going to be freaking out. You don't know what exactly is going to take you out or not. You're going to be not really confident. But after a few sessions of understanding how your wheel reacts and rides and behaves in this type of terrain, your confidence grows pretty quickly. I mean, you can even see in my own videos, I started riding these icy trails when they first iced over a couple of weeks ago when the polar vortex first came in. And I was riding super sketchy and was afraid, nervous. I just didn't know exactly how the wheel is going to react to all that. But now, after riding for a couple of weeks now in this type of terrain, it's definitely, I've built up the, I don't know, muscle memory or just like the sense of understanding of like when I'm in trouble and when I'm not, and when I can recover on this type of terrain. So yeah, I mean, if you want to learn how to ride in snow, find something that's similar to snow when it's obviously not the winter, like dirt, sand, well, not sand, but find some dirt trail and practice riding on those all the time. because those skills will definitely transfer over. But if you are learning how to ride in snow and it's snowing outside, go slow. Number one thing is to go slow. Don't go too fast. Don't be curving too much. Careful with your turns so you don't tip over, because I've tipped over a few times. Just be careful now. Photos of that. That's beautiful. Those look beautiful, beautiful. Surprised the river isn't frozen over. So, trying to think through what I've been saying. 1, layer up, get the proper clothes. 2, don't worry entirely about preparing your wheel for the winter. Just learn how to ride in the winter. All right? 3, training in uneven terrain, so you build a sense for how a wheel will react in imperfect conditions. Okay, so once those things are checked off, oh man, there's something that fell down there. Once those things are checked off, then you gotta worry about actual safety while you're riding in the winter, right? Because, well, like we've been saying, conditions are not ideal. But if you're an addict like me, you gotta be out on your wheel as often as possible, especially when the sun is out and you're not missing an opportunity soaking up that vitamin D. You gotta make sure to ride safely so you don't injure yourself. Well, first and foremost, conditions matter. The conditions of the day totally matter. If you're going out, let's just think of some really bad examples here, but if you want to go ride and it was like 35, 36 degrees and it was kind of rainy, kind of slushy, right? It's kind of like wet on the ground. But then the following day, there's like a flash freeze and it gets iced over really quickly. And the city or your residential area didn't have enough time to salt the roads yet. Do not get on your wheel. Do not go outside. That's how you slip out so easily and injure yourself so easily. Those kind of conditions. Black ice everywhere, ice everywhere. Ice is the number one enemy for, these things, because when you spin out, you're on one point of contact. You spin out and you fall. No good. So the conditions of the day totally matter. If it's an instance where there's a chance for lots of ice to be on the roads, on the trails, well, I'll come back to the trails in a little bit, but the roads most importantly. If there's ice on the roads, just do not ride. Stay off your wheel. But once it gets salted, then you're good to go. Because your wheel actually grips. Your wheel will grip the salty roads even better than before when they were unsalted, so honestly. But also you gotta be careful about riding in bike lanes, because here, specifically in Chicago, they don't do a very good job of cleaning out the bike lanes. So it's generally safer to just stay on the road that are salted over, instead of going to the trails where there's going to be black ice, actual ice. It's not very well tended, and you could slip out anytime. So, again, conditions always matter. But once conditions start to become a little bit more normalized, or a little bit stabilized, or at least closer and closer to an ideal state, then you can start pushing your wheel harder and harder. Another thing to worry about in the sub-zero degree temperature, if you're riding these personal electric vehicles, you gotta be very, very cognizant of your battery. The cold saps your battery cells. It makes it harder for them to do their job. And therefore, they can't do the job as long as usual in more ideal conditions. So you always have to be very cognizant about how far you're riding, how fast you're riding. Because depending on what kind of battery cells you have, your battery sag could be pretty significant. I think you're good at like 70, 75%, all of a sudden you drop down to like 35, 40. Going on a major road, going about 30, 35 miles an hour, and then you cut out and fall, fall over. Because you mismanaged your battery in these cold conditions. That is something I'm very cognizant of, something I'm always basically checking on my phone, going through like apps like the Goat app or EUC World if you're on Android, Darkness Spot if you're on iPhone and Apples. But you gotta check your voltage, you gotta check the internal component temperature. For me, luckily, if I just stop right here, I don't really have to do much. I can just look under my seat, and I have the temperature of my stuff, which is 1 degree Celsius, is right above freezing. Wow. And I have about almost 1,500 miles and a full battery. So ain't that crazy. Now, in all honesty, I don't know what happens if that falls below 0. Probably should look that up. All right, so let's recap. Wear lots of clothes. Wear good insulating clothes. That's going to help you stay out here in the freezing weather, and deal with the frozen wind chill temperatures like I am right now. After you do that, train to ride in uneven terrain. Ride in conditions that are not ideal, because that's the only way you're going to be able to handle winter conditions, because winter conditions are never ideal. And in all honesty, you don't really need to do anything to prepare your wheel. But if you do want to, and this is something that I probably should do if the winter is going to stay being ass like this, put it on, get a wheel, get a tire, maybe an older tire that you haven't been riding in a while, and convert it to a winter tire, man. Put some tire studs on it, and that'll help you make sure to maintain traction on ice and definitely easily on snowy conditions like this. But most importantly, it's about making sure you don't slip out on ice, unseen ice, when you're out on the road. But if you live in a big city or an area or a town that is pretty good with their snow removal and salting practices, and the conditions of the road are always good, that you don't actually need to stud your tire. Obviously, it's recommended to have a waterproof wheel if you want to deal with snow. You don't want to have any accidental water ingress on your board. That'll fry out or short circuit your stuff. And then you'll potentially just fall. But in all honesty, I'll probably just link some more footage here or have it shown. I was out on the trails the other day with some fresh powder. Man, it was awesome. But I was falling all the time, and I was kind of worried that maybe my wheel wasn't fully waterproof. I'm gonna have some water ingress mess up my board. It's been fine. Been perfectly fine. I let my wheel dry out, right? I let my wheel dry out and tipped it over, let all the snow melt that was inside get out, and it was fine. So I'm, pleasantly surprised with the quality of these extreme bull wheels. I know some others sometimes put down extreme bull for their quality and all that kind of stuff, but I have not had any issues this winter so far. Don't want to jinx anything, but it's been so far so good. So I'm going up some little underpass under the highway that my other buddy showed me. It's a nice little single track to get through. Looks like people have been out here. Conditions are decent. Hopefully I don't slip out here. Nah, it's easy. It's no problem. Gotta stick it. Some ice over there. We're good, we're Gucci. We are Gucci. So you see? No tire studs needed. It's fine. It's a little muddy and sketchy right over here, but I'm just gonna walk right over it gingerly. Yeah, so this is the kind of uneven terrain that you should practice on before getting on snow. This is perfect. Because after that, the snow lumps behave exactly the same way. Where am I going? Continuing. Might not be talking as much right now because I'm just focused on trying to clear this area without falling. Part of the fun. Looks like another log right there. That's fine. That's fine. Could have done it. Could have stuck it. Slipped out a little bit after. No problem, easy peasy. Oh boy. Ooh. We're good. See, that's where all the practice comes in, boys and girls. That's where all the practice comes in. Riding on even terrain so you don't freak out when something doesn't feel perfectly even. Right? Alright, this should be all frozen over, right? It should not be muddy. Okay. Well, do I ride it? Suck it, dude. How you doing, bitch? Sorry. You have to say that. Woo! Love me some single tracks. Okay. Alright. Alright. Woo! Look at that. Where are we now? Yes, sir.